Hello ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about the Mixolydian mode. Now at this point, hopefully, when you see the word Mixolydian, you're thinking scale degree 5. Okay, so far we've talked about G Mixolydian because the note G is scale degree 5 of a C major scale, which has no sharps or flats. So as examples, as a demonstration of the Mixolydian mode, we've been using G Mixolydian. So I've been explaining to you that when you think of a Mixolydian mode, you think of the starting note as being scale degree 5 of another key signature, right? The note G is the 5th note of a C major scale, so we're using the key signature of C major to go from G to G. That means using all white keys, right? And so that's the way I explained it to you to remember what Mixolydian means. Now, the other way to approach understanding what a Mixolydian mode is comparing it to the straight major scale of the note G. So if I say play for me a G Mixolydian scale, you can think of another way to understand what Mixolydian is by how it differs from a G major scale. And here it is down here. If you compare this to the scale of G major, you'll find that the scales are identical, except that the Mixolydian mode has a flattened 7th degree. I talked about this briefly in the last lesson. Scale degrees for a Mixolydian mode are, just like a major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a lowered 7th. We notate the term lowered with a flat sign, but it doesn't mean put a flat on it. It means lower it out of the key signature by a half step. A flat 7 and then an 8. So what normally is a major scale, G major, using F sharp as you know, we now lower that scale degree 7 and we end up with an F natural. That is another way to create a Mixolydian mode. So just as an example, I'm going to keep this scale degree pattern at the top of the screen here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, lowered 7th, 8, or flat 7, 8. And we're going to do a few quick little visual examples on the keyboard. Okay, I've got a keyboard up here. Alright, so 2 different ways to understand the Mixolydian mode. I could take any note. I'll just take D for example. Okay. Mixolydian means scale degree 5. So D is scale degree 5 of what major scale? G major. So I'm going to go from D to D using the key signature of G major, which has, of course, only 1 sharp. Right? So a D Mixolydian mode would be, and that's one way to understand Mixolydian, as the beginning of the scale is you use the key signature of the scale that is 5 steps down. Okay? So in other words, a D Mixolydian mode, D is scale degree 5 of a G major scale, so I use the key signature of G major to play a scale from D to D. The other way to understand it is the way they're explaining here, using a variation of the very major scale starting on the same note. So a D Mixolydian scale is just a D major scale, right, with the lowered 7th, with the flat 7. Okay, now the regular scale degree 7 is of course the C sharp, so I lower it to C natural. So it's a regular D major scale, but with a lowered 7th. However you want to understand it, you end up with the same notes, right? You end up going from D to D with just 1 F sharp in it. Let's take another example. Let's take C major. If I want to play a C Mixolydian scale, right, I got to go from C to C. Now, what am I going to put in my key signature? Well, Mixolydian, the word Mixolydian means 5. So C is scale degree 5 of what key signature? Of what scale? F major. I'm going to use the key signature of F major to do this. Right? Just the 1 B flat is the key signature of F major. The other way to think about it is C Mixolydian is just C major with a lowered 7th, which also ends up giving me the B flat. C major goes like this. C major with a lowered 7th gives me so either way you want to approach it, to understand it, it works to get the proper notes in your scale. All right, so as you move through these exercises, these are all Mixolydian scales they're asking you for. You can think of it in two different ways. All right. For example, let's do one more without the keyboard this time, but let's go to, oh geez, I don't know. Let's go to B flat Mixolydian. Okay, the note B flat. Okay, the first way to think about it is to think of the note B flat. Now, if you want to have a keyboard in front of you to visualize this on your own, that's great. The note B flat is scale degree 5 of what major scale? Right? And you're going to use the key signature of that starting note to go from B flat to B flat. That's the one way to think of a Mixolydian scale, Mixolydian mode. The second way is to use the scale degrees like this as it relates to a major scale. So you're going to play a B flat major scale as normal, but then take whatever note is scale degree 7 of a B flat major scale and lower it by a half step. That's the other way to think of your Mixolydian mode. All right. Hopefully that should be clear. It is a lot to think about, but hopefully you've been paying attention. It makes sense, and you're able to hit the ground running with these Mixolydian modes, these Mixolydian scales. All right, take care, guys. We'll see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye.